9.2 is about measuring area and volume. So a square mile is one way of measuring the area of a state. A state's area is the region within its boundaries. Its population density is its population divided by its area. In order to measure a region that is enclosed by boundaries, we begin by selecting a square unit. A square unit is just a square, each of whose size is 1 unit in length, whether that is 1 inch, a centimeter, a meter, a foot. We just leave it general as 1 unit. And so the figure below is said to have an area of 1 square unit. The corresponding units of area are the square inch, the square centimeter, the square meter, the square foot, and so on. And so you can see the difference in the area of the two figures below between a square inch and a square centimeter. So example 1 asks, what is the area of the region shown below? So we see what a square unit looks like, and we just want to count how many of these we have. So we have 4 of these square units in the first row, 4 in the second row, and 4 in the third row. So we end up with 12 square units. In the chart below, we have the square units of measure in the English system. We have 1 square foot, which is 144 square inches. We have a square yard, which is 9 square feet. We have 1 acre, or 43,560 square feet, or 4,840 square yards. And a square mile is 640 acres. So after Alaska, Wyoming is the least densely populated state. The population of Wyoming is 568,158, and its area is 97,814 square miles. What is its population density? So at the beginning of this section, we said that the population density is its population divided by the area. And so their population is 568,158 divided by 97,814 square miles. And so simplifying this, this is about 5.8 people in a square mile, or per square mile. So on average, in a square mile, I would find 5.8 people. Point Reyes National Seashore is 40 miles north of San Francisco. The national park consists of 75,000, this should say acres. With miles of pristine surf-washed beaches, forested ridges, and bays bordered by white cliffs. How large is the national park in square miles? So we have 75,000 acres. And we're going to use dimensional analysis to go from acres to square miles. And so there is 640 acres in 1 square mile. So we've got 1 square mile on top and 640 acres on the bottom. The acres essentially cancel. And so on top, we have 75,000 square miles. And on the bottom, we have 640 acres, or 640. And so simplifying this, we end up with approximately 117 square miles. In the metric system, the square centimeter is used instead of the square inch. The square meter replaces the square foot and the square yard. The English system uses the acre and the square mile to measure large land areas, where 1 square mile is about 640 acres. The metric system uses the hectare, and that's about the area of 2 football fields placed side by side, or approximately 2.5 acres. 1 square mile of land consists of approximately 260 hectares. Just as the hectare replaces the acre, the square kilometer is used instead of the square mile. 1 square kilometer is about 0.38 of a square mile. And so we can see in the chart below our English and metric equivalents for area. So a square inch is about 6.5 square centimeters. A square foot is about 0.09 square meters. 1 square yard is about 0.8 square meters. A square mile is about 2.6 square kilometers. And an acre is about 0.4 hectares. So a property in Italy is advertised at $545,000 for 6.8 hectares. We want to find the area of the property in acres. So we're going to use dimensional analysis to convert 6.8 hectares to acres. And so there's about 0.4 hectares in an acre. So we've got 1 acre on top, and we've got 0.4 hectares on bottom. The hectares end up canceling. So we have 6.8 with our acre on top and 0.4 on the bottom. And so that's about 17 acres. What is the price per acre? So we know that the total cost is $545,000 for 17 acres. So we're just going to divide this by 17, which will give us about $32,059 an acre. For measuring volume, we're just now going up another unit, and so we're looking at cubic units instead of square units. So a showbox and a basketball are examples of 3-dimensional figures. Volume just refers to the amount of space. We should say space occupied by such figures. In order to measure this space, we begin by selecting a cubic unit. So again, you can see the difference between a cubic inch and a cubic centimeter. The edges of a cube all have the same length, and other cubic units are used to measure volume include a cubic foot and a cubic meter. One way to measure the volume of a solid is to calculate the number of cubic units contained in its interior. So just like with the square unit, we're doing the same thing with the cubic unit. We want to see how many of them we have. So in the top, we've got 3 in the first row and 3 in the second. So we have 9 in the first row, and so 9 times 2, because we have 2 different rows of it, would give me 18 cubic units. The measure of volume also includes the amount of fluid that a 3-dimensional object can hold. So this is often called its capacity. So for example, we often refer to the capacity in gallons of a gas tank. So we have the English units for capacity below. 2 pints is about a quart. 4 quarts is a gallon. 1 gallon is 128 fluid ounces, and a cup is 8 fluid ounces. And so a cubic yard is about 200 gallons. A cubic foot is about 7.48 gallons, and 231 cubic inches is about a gallon. A swimming pool has a volume of 22,500 cubic feet. How many gallons of water does the pool hold? So we're going from cubic feet to gallons. We've got 22,500 cubic feet. And there is about 7.48 gallons in a cubic foot. So we have our 7.48 gallons on top. And on bottom, we've got 1 cubic foot. And so the cubic feet cancel. And we just have 22,500 times 7.48, which gives me about 168,300 gallons. As we have come to expect, things are usually simpler in the metric system because we can just move the decimal place to convert our units. And so the basic unit is a liter, which is a capital L. A liter is slightly larger than a quart. It's about 1.0567 quarts. And so we can see the units of capacity in the metric system in the table below. We've got a kiloliter, a hectoliter, a deciliter, a liter, a deciliter, a centiliter, and a milliliter. So we're still using the same prefixes, we're just in a different unit now with liters. And so the figure below shows a 1 liter container filled with water. The water in the liter container will fit exactly into the cube shown to its right. The volume of this cube is 1,000 cubic centimeters, or equivalently 1 cubic decimeter. Thus, 1,000 cubic centimeters is the same as 1 cubic decimeter, which is 1 liter. So all 3 of those units are equivalent. So a cubic centimeter is 1 milliliter. 1 cubic decimeter is the same as 1,000 cubic centimeters, which is 1 liter. And 1 cubic meter is 1 kiloliter. An aquarium has a volume of 36,000 cubic centimeters. How many liters of water does the aquarium hold? So we're going from cubic centimeters to liters. So 36,000 cubic centimeters. We know that for 1,000 cubic centimeters, we have 1 liter. So 1 liter will go on top, and 1,000 cubic centimeters will go on the bottom. The cubic centimeters end up canceling, and we get 36,000 with our liter on the top divided by 1,000, and so we end up with 36 liters. In the table below, we have the English and metric equivalents, so we can convert them for capacity. So a teaspoon is about 5 milliliters. A tablespoon is about 15 milliliters. 1 fluid ounce is about 30 milliliters. A cup is about 0.24 liters. A pint is about 0.47 liters. A quart is about 0.95 liters. And a gallon is about 3.8 liters. Dosage of liquid medication are measured using cubic centimeters or millimeters, as they are also called. In the United States, cc rather than the cubic centimeters denotes cubic centimeters. So cc and the cm cubed are the same thing. And so a physician orders 10 cc's of the drug Lexapro, used to treat depression and anxiety, to be administered to a patient in liquid form. How many milliliters of the drug should be administered? So we have 10 cc's, which is what was ordered. And cc's is the same as a cubic centimeter. So we really have 10 cubic centimeters. But a cubic centimeter is the same as a milliliter, and so we really have 10 milliliters. So we're not changing the number at all because all three of these units are the exact same. How many fluid ounces of the drug should be administered? So we have a conversion between milliliters and fluid ounces. So 10 milliliters and there is about 30 milliliters for 1 fluid ounce. So our fluid ounce goes on top and our 30 milliliters goes on the bottom. So our milliliters end up canceling. And so we have 10 with our fluid ounce. And on the bottom we've got 30. And so that's about 0.33 fluid ounces.